Hi, I'm Taylor Kilgore, and this is Anxiety: How to Help Those Who Struggle. Everyone has experienced a feeling of uncertainty or worry at one time or another in his or her lifetime. However, some people seem to experience that feeling more often. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Anxiety can consume a person if he lets it. It can cause depression and make a person ostracize themselves from the world. I personally know that feeling, for I have struggled with anxiety throughout my teenage life. I try to put up a valiant front to my peers, however there have been days where I have been aching to talk to someone. I know I can always talk to my mother or best friend, but other people do not always have someone with whom they can share. I want to inform you all on how you can listen to someone with anxiety and comfort him in a time when it feels like the world is caving in on his shoulders. The easiest thing to do to help someone with anxiety is to learn about the disorder. Some people with anxiety have been worriers since childhood, whereas others have suffered from a high-stress event. This event may have been a job loss or a death of a loved one. Either way, the person was traumatized and now worries about his future or the future of his family. In addition to suffering from constant feelings of worry, people with anxiety also suffer from low self-esteem or feel insecure because they see people's intentions or events in negative terms or experience them as critical or intimidating. Experts believe that about 3 to 8% of Americans have a generalized anxiety disorder, and women are twice as susceptible to this as men. That's not all either. Of all of the psychiatric illnesses, generalized anxiety disorder is least likely to occur alone. Between 50 and 90% of people with the disorder also have at least one other problem, the most common being panic disorders, phobia, depression, dysthymia, which is a less severe form of depression, alcoholism, or some other form of substance abuse. That being said, it is clear that understanding anxiety is very important to help those with anxiety, because if not, you could cause more harm to that person than help them. To help a particular person with anxiety, I want to make it clear that you cannot rationalize with him or her, because his fears are real to him. Even though you may realize his fears are not feasible or plausible, you must realize to that person with anxiety those fears are very substantial in his mind. That being said, the first thing I would suggest you to do to help a person with anxiety is to listen to his fears. Listen to him cry or worry. It helps to let out that pent-up emotion and to know that someone else is listening and caring about you and your emotions and your problems. While you listen to a person vent about his anxieties, give both verbal and nonverbal feedback. Nod your head and respond saying things like, "I understand. It's okay." It may not seem like you are doing much, but this release of emotion allows him to hear his fears out loud and to know that he is no longer alone. He thinks you, the listener, now understands the fear that he is experiencing. Now, you personally may not comprehend the fears, but that is okay. The goal here is not to rationalize with the anxious person. It is to listen to him and to let him know that he is not alone. Another tactic you can use to help someone with anxiety is to spend time with him. However, as you spend time with him, you should try to avoid talking about the other person's anxiety, and you should also try not to get frustrated with that person. Both of these suggestions are hard because I have watched my friends and family struggle not to get frustrated with me and not to bring up my disorder every time I did something out of the ordinary, so they could say, "Hey, look, you did that and didn't let your anxiety control you." We, people with anxiety, know we have a problem. We know we are supposed to be able to do things or go places without any kind of fear or apprehension. We know we are supposed to go make plans for the future or be able to readily speak in front of people. However, we cannot, and that infuriates us. So we understand your agitation, but we also still live with that fear inside of us. At the same time, however, we want to become better, and we can't forget. When you spend time with us, it makes it harder for us to think about our anxieties. Thanks to the loving and caring attention from my friends and family, I was able to make some big progressive steps forward. Even though I still have many anxieties today, I feel more confident in myself and truly believe I can one day put this disorder in my past. My final advice to give you today is not to give up hope. Although anxiety is not a physical condition, it can have many physical effects on a person's body. People suffer from nausea, fatigue, panic attacks, and many more physical conditions. As mentioned earlier, anxiety can lead to depression, alcoholism, and even suicide in some extreme cases. Therefore, it is important to stay hopeful and always be supportive to the one with anxiety. Be sure to celebrate the small victories and always let him know that you are there if he ever needs anything. In his darkest hours, knowing that someone loves him and is cheering for his recovery is very powerful and uplifting. In conclusion, anxiety is very common and should be understood if you expect to help someone overcome the disorder. A few tactics that can allow you to help someone with anxiety are to listen to his fears, spend time with him without bringing up the disorder, and keep hope and faith in that person. Listening to his fears lets him know that he is not alone and that you care about him and his fears. Spending time with him allows him to open up, and not bringing up this disorder lets him feel more comfortable around you. Eventually, he may begin venturing out and facing his fears. Keeping hope and faith in that person allows you to help celebrate the small victories with the anxious person, and allows you to let them know that you will be there for them in case they ever need someone to talk with whom. These strategies do not seem like much, but they have a large impact on a person with anxiety. Personally, these tactics have allowed me to be able to open up and make plans for my future after a traumatizing family event. I want to be able to share these strategies and tactics with you and many others so that we together can help others who struggle with anxiety. Any questions?